The universe says, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now. Beloved, hear these words as though they are spoken directly into your spirit, because they are. The universe says, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now. This is not a promise of tomorrow, not a hope for the distant future, but a present reality unfolding in this very moment. The wealth you have long imagined, the fortune you have silently prayed for, already exists in the unseen, waiting for your acceptance. Money is not created, it is released, drawn into visibility by your inner conviction. What you consent to inwardly becomes the law of your world outwardly. So tonight, let every doubt be silenced, let every fear dissolve, and let your heart rise in bold assurance, for you are standing at the threshold of unimaginable abundance. The power of inner acceptance, the universe speaks in silence, and it answers not to begging, but to inner consent. It does not ask you to struggle, strive, or chase what you desire. It asks you to accept it as already yours. When you hear the declaration, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now, your first instinct may be disbelief, hesitation, or doubt. Yet understand this truth: disbelief is the only barrier, and acceptance is the only key. What you inwardly agree to becomes the law of your outer world. This is why inner acceptance is the foundation of wealth, because the outer world is nothing more than the shadow of your inner state. If within you there is resistance, fear, or disbelief, that too will be reflected outward. But the moment you consent inwardly, saying, yes, it is mine, yes, it is done, yes, I accept it now, the universe is compelled to rearrange itself to mirror that agreement. You are not waiting for wealth, it is waiting for you to accept it. Think for a moment of the reality of $333,000,000. If you truly had it now, would you not walk differently? Would your tone of voice not shift? Would your decisions not carry an ease, a freedom, a sovereignty? Acceptance is not passive, it is active. It is entering the state of being that corresponds with the thing you desire. The moment you accept, you stop asking, you stop questioning, you stop doubting. You no longer wonder if or when, because you know it is already settled. Inner acceptance is the unseen contract between you and the universe, the silent yes that releases the flow of abundance from spirit into form. Most live their lives trapped in the belief that acceptance comes after evidence. They say, when I see the money, I will believe. When the account fills, I will accept. But the law of life is reversed. Only when you accept first, without evidence, does evidence appear. Faith is not waiting. It is claiming. It is not hope. It is possession. It is not looking forward to the promise. It is living as though the promise has already been kept. The world calls this foolish, but the world does not know that it is imagination that creates reality. Every fortune, every invention, every empire began with someone who first accepted inwardly what no one else could see. And so you must accept inwardly the $333,000,000, not as a possibility, but as a fact of your being. The great secret is that the universe mirrors only what you feel to be true. If you feel lack, it gives you lack. If you feel abundance, it gives you abundance. Inner acceptance is therefore the seed. To say, I accept $333,000,000 now, is not to utter empty words, but to shift the soil of your consciousness so that only abundance can grow there. Do not attempt to figure out how it will come, through which person, or by which channel. That is not your work. Your work is to accept. To accept is to relax, to release the struggle, to walk in the quiet assurance that the money is already yours. The moment you accept, life begins moving unseen pieces, aligning events, stirring hearts, opening doors, and creating opportunities that your limited mind could never have calculated. Ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you woke tomorrow with $333,000,000 in your possession? How would you think? How would you speak? How would you feel as you moved through the day? Inner acceptance is living in that reality now, not tomorrow. It is tasting the fruit before the harvest, wearing the crown before it touches your head, dwelling in the mansion before the bricks appear. Acceptance is not waiting for permission from the world. It is declaring that the unseen is more real than what is seen. When you consent inwardly to abundance, the outer world must eventually reflect it, for the outer is nothing but the servant of the inner. Do not confuse acceptance with wishing. Wishing says, I hope it happens someday. Acceptance says, it is mine already. Wishing looks outward with longing. Acceptance looks inward with certainty. Wishing waits for signs. Acceptance is the sign. Wishing holds on to lack. Acceptance dissolves it. The moment you accept, you move from begging to commanding, from hoping to knowing, from chasing to receiving. The universe does not respond to begging. It responds to belief. And belief is simply acceptance clothed in feeling. Think of the invisible as the seedbed of all reality. You do not see the roots, yet you trust that the seed will grow. In the same way, you may not yet see the $333,000,000 in your bank account, but if you have accepted it inwardly, the roots of that reality are already spreading beneath the soil of time. In due season, it must break through into visibility. But the breaking through is not your concern. Your concern is only to accept, to rest in the knowing that it is already done. The one who accepts does not anxiously check the soil each morning, digging up the seed to see if it has grown. He rests, he waits, he trusts. So too must you rest in the inner acceptance of your fortune, knowing it is as certain as the sunrise. Many sabotage themselves by holding two opposing acceptances, one of abundance and one of lack. They say, I accept $333,000,000, yet within they carry fear, scarcity, and doubt. But the universe does not listen to words. It listens to states of being. If within you dwell in lack, no affirmation will avail you. But if within you dwell in wealth, no outer fact can deny you. The secret is consistency, to remain in the state of already having, regardless of appearances. This is inner discipline, the refusal to be shaken by temporary facts, the choice to believe the unseen over the seen. Acceptance transforms your very vibration. It alters how you carry yourself, how you speak to others, how you perceive the world. When you accept $333,000,000 as yours, your mind expands, your decisions shift, your words carry power. People sense it, opportunities align with it, life bends to it. This is not imagination as play, it is imagination as creation, for life itself is nothing more than imagination out, pictured. What you accept inwardly, you project outwardly. What you project outwardly, you attract. What you attract, you experience. So, hear the universe again. I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now. Do not meet this with doubt, fear, or resistance. Meet it with a bold yes. Say within yourself, yes, I accept. Yes, it is mine. Yes, it is done. Feel the weight of that money in your hands, the freedom it grants, the lives it blesses, the joy it brings. Live as though it is already so. Walk as though you are already the possessor. Think from the reality of wealth, not toward it. Speak from abundance, not about it. For the one who accepts has already received. The outer manifestation is only the echo of what has already been decreed in the unseen. Therefore, do not delay your wealth by postponing your acceptance. Do not say, I will accept when I see. Say, I see because I have accepted. Let your acceptance be total, unwavering, immovable. For when the inner is settled, the outer must comply. When you accept inwardly the $333,000,000, you have entered the state where the universe has no choice but to deliver, and deliver it shall, for the universe always fulfills the decree of your inner consent. So tonight, release all doubt, all fear, all hesitation. Stand tall in the certainty that your fortune has already been given. Say within yourself, I accept. It is mine. It is done. And watch as life bends to your acceptance until the day comes when you look into your bank account and see what you first saw within the full release of $333,000,000, the outer reflection of your inner yes. The law of assumption in action, the universe whispers its secrets not to the mind that calculates, but to the spirit that dares to assume To assume is to step beyond the evidence of your senses and live in the unseen as though it were already here. When the universe says, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now, your first response must not be to look at your empty wallet, your current job, or your bank balance, but to assume the reality of that wealth within you. The law of assumption declares that what you inwardly accept as true, though unseen, must inevitably harden into fact. This is not a law of chance. It is a law of certainty. Life cannot deny assumption, because assumption is faith clothed in action. To assume is to place yourself in the very position of already having, already being, already doing, even while the outer world has not yet caught up. Most people fail not because the universe denies them, but because they refuse to assume. They wait for proof, forgetting that proof only appears after the assumption. They wait for signs, forgetting that the assumption itself is the only sign needed. The one who assumes does not hope, he knows. He does not plead, he claims. He does not wait. He walks in the reality already accepted. When you assume the state of being wealthy, when you think, speak, and act as though $333,000,000 is already yours, you are not pretending, you are creating. For the outer world is nothing but a shadow cast by your inner state. Assume wealth within, and wealth must appear without. The law of assumption is always working. Every condition you see around you today is the result of yesterday's assumptions. If you assumed lack, lack appeared. If you assumed struggle, struggle came. If you assumed abundance, abundance began to flow. The tragedy is that many assume unconsciously. They assume failure, they assume rejection, they assume limitation, and then they wonder why life reflects it back to them. But the wise understand that assumption is choice. You may assume lack, or you may assume wealth. You may assume struggle, or you may assume ease. The universe does not discriminate. It fulfills whatever you assume to be true. So let me ask you, what are you assuming right now about the $333,000,000? Are you assuming it is too much, too impossible, too distant? Then life will echo that assumption. Or are you assuming it is yours, that it has already been given, that it flows to you now? Then life must echo that the law cannot be broken, the outer must conform to the inner. Assumption is the seed, manifestation the harvest. When you assume wealth, you must go beyond words, you must dwell in the feeling. Do not merely say, I assume I have $333,000,000, while continuing to feel poor, anxious, or doubtful. The law of assumption is not moved by words, but by states of consciousness. To assume is to enter the feeling of already being there. It is to breathe as though the money is yours, to sleep as though the fortune has been transferred, to speak with the calm authority of one who knows his account is full. Assumption is not daydreaming, it is identification. You must identify with the state of being wealthy until it feels natural, until you no longer reach for it, but live from it. Consider this: if tonight you were to inherit $333,000,000, what would change in you immediately? Your posture would shift, your worries would dissolve, your decisions would carry ease. You would wake tomorrow with a completely different outlook. The law of assumption invites you to make that shift now, before the money appears, for the moment you do, the money must follow. Life cannot resist the one who assumes. The world bends to the one who acts from the end, who occupies the state of already having, already being, already fulfilled. The world may call it delusion, but the world does not know that assumption is the womb of reality. Every invention, every fortune, every miracle began with someone who dared to assume what others called impossible. They lived in the state until the state became flesh. So too must you live in the state of having $333,000,000 until it ceases to be imagination and becomes experience. Do not concern yourself with how it will come. The law of assumption takes care of the how. Your only work is to assume, to persist, to dwell in the end as though it were already so. Persistence is the secret ingredient. A single assumption may fade if not sustained. You cannot affirm wealth for a moment and then sink back into fear and lack. You must hold the assumption until it hardens into fact. This is where many falter. They assume for a day, but then the outer world contradicts them, and they let go. But the outer world is always a delayed reflection. Do not judge the seed by the soil. Do not uproot your assumption because the facts do not yet match. Facts are shadows. Assumption is substance. Hold your assumption with unwavering faith, and in time the shadow must follow the substance. Imagine now the power of assuming $333,000,000 as yours. See yourself signing documents, see yourself transferring funds, see yourself blessing others, see yourself building empires. But do not only see, feel. Feel the weight of the wealth, the freedom it brings, the gratitude it stirs. Let the assumption saturate your being until it feels more real than your present facts. And as you do, the invisible machinery of the universe begins to work. People are moved, opportunities align, doors open, paths clear, all to fulfill the assumption you have made. Remember, assumption is not arrogance. It is not demanding from the universe. It is aligning with what already exists in spirit. The $333,000,000 is not being created. It is already present in the unseen. By assuming it, you are simply stepping into the state where it is already yours. The universe honors that state, for it recognizes that you are no longer waiting, you are being. The one who assumes abundance does not live as a beggar, but as a possessor. He does not ask for wealth, he lives from wealth. He does not hope for the future, he embodies it now. The law of assumption demands courage. It requires you to deny the evidence of your senses and cling to the unseen. It asks you to believe in what the world calls impossible, to walk in a reality that only you can see, but the reward is certain, for assumption never fails. What you assume with persistence and conviction must manifest, for the universe is compelled to echo your inner state. So tonight, dare to assume, dare to walk as the one who already possesses $333,000,000. Let your thoughts, words, and actions reflect that reality. When doubt arises, return to the state. When fear whispers, silence it with assumption. When circumstances contradict, remind yourself that facts follow faith, not the other way around. Stand firm in the end and let the world catch up. The universe has already spoken. I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now. Your task is not to question, not to worry, not to strive, but to assume. Assume that the release has already occurred. Assume that the fortune is already yours. Assume that the bank account is already filled. And as you assume, watch the invisible law go to work, reshaping the seen to match the unseen, bending the outer to match the inner, until one day you wake and see with your eyes what you first dared to assume in silence. The full manifestation of $333,000,000, the testimony of the law of assumption in action. Faith over facts. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey where the facts of life stand like giants before them, shouting their impossibility, waving their evidence, and mocking the promise of abundance. The facts say, look at your bank account, it is empty. Look at your circumstances, they are small. Look at your history, it does not support wealth. Look at your current work, it cannot yield millions, let alone $333,000,000. And yet, above the loud voice of facts, there is a quieter voice, a deeper authority, a whisper of truth from the universe itself declaring, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now. In that moment you must choose. Will you bow to the visible facts, or will you stand on the unseen faith? For the outer world is but the shadow of yesterday's beliefs, but faith is the seed of tomorrow's realities. To trust facts is to remain bound by what is. To trust faith is to step into what shall be. Faith is not a passive wish, it is an inner law. Faith is the power to disregard what the senses insist upon and to rest in the conviction of the unseen. When you look at your present circumstances, everything may deny the possibility of $333,000,000 flowing to you. You may see limitation, obstacles, or even ridicule from others, But faith does not consult the evidence. Faith creates new evidence. Faith speaks in the unseen realm and then compels the seen realm to bend in obedience. This is why faith is greater than facts, because facts are only the echo of past beliefs, while faith is the command that shapes the future. Consider this: every great breakthrough in history defied the facts of its time. When explorers crossed oceans, the facts said the world was flat. When inventions emerged, the facts said it was impossible. When revolutions were birthed, the facts said the powers of the day were too strong. But those who carried faith ignored the facts and held to their unseen vision until the facts themselves transformed. So too must you with your fortune. The facts may tell you it cannot be done, that $333,000,000 is too large, too unreachable, too unrealistic. But faith does not ask, is it reasonable? Faith declares, it is mine because I have accepted it. Faith is a higher law than reason. Reason says, I will believe when I see. Faith says, I believe, and therefore I shall see. Reason is bound by what already exists. Faith creates what does not yet exist. Reason bows to facts. Faith reshapes facts. This is why you cannot measure your possibility by your present situation. The $333,000,000 does not emerge because your present conditions make it possible. It emerges because your faith demands it. The outer world is clay. Faith is the potter. The outer world is a shadow. Faith is the light. The outer world is an echo. Faith is the voice. What voice will you speak, with the timid voice of facts or the commanding voice of faith? Faith requires you to deny appearances. It asks you to look at emptiness and call it fullness, to look at lack and call it wealth, to look at limitation and call it abundance. The world will call you foolish, delusional, even insane. But you know a deeper truth. Appearances are temporary. Faith is eternal. Appearances shift with every wind of time, but faith anchors itself in the unshakable law that what you assume and believe inwardly must be expressed outwardly. So while the facts today may show lack, your faith holds to wealth. While the facts today may show limitation, your faith beholds expansion. While the facts today may show emptiness, your faith declares, I am filled with $333,000,000 now. Understand this. Faith does not ignore facts out of blindness. It overrides them out of authority. Facts are real, but they are not final. They are temporary reflections of old assumptions, and the moment you assume a new state in faith, the facts must reorganize to match it. If today's fact says you are poor, and yet you assume wealth with unwavering faith, tomorrow's fact will bend to reveal your new state. The facts have no choice. They are slaves to faith. So never fear the evidence before you, for it is only temporary. Stand firm in faith, and the evidence must yield. The secret of faith is that it feels before it sees. Faith tastes the feast before the table is set. Faith wears the crown before the throne appears. Faith spends the fortune before the bank balance reflects it. Faith lives from the end, not toward it. So if you would manifest $333,000,000, you must feel now what you would feel then. Do not wait for numbers to rise on a screen. Rise in your spirit first. Do not wait for the world to confirm your wealth. Confirm it within yourself. Faith is the inner certificate of ownership. If you possess it within, the outer world must one day hand you the title. Faith is also persistence. Anyone can believe for a moment, but true faith endures despite contradiction. It is easy to say, I believe. When everything looks possible, it is harder when everything denies you, but that is when true faith is proven. If you hold to the unseen wealth while the seen world mocks you, you have tapped into the creative law of life itself, and sooner than you imagine, the world will bow to your conviction. Facts may shout today, but faith whispers eternally, and the whisper is stronger than the shout. Do not despise the small beginnings. Faith does not measure by increments. It measures by completion. Even if you see only a single opportunity, a small increase, a minor shift, do not doubt. See it as evidence of the larger flow, the beginning of the river that will flood into $333,000,000. Faith takes small signs as confirmation of the greater. Facts may say, this is not enough. Faith says, this is the seed of all. Faith is not passive. It is not simply waiting for the universe to act. Faith acts as if it were already done. Faith makes decisions from wealth, even when wealth is not yet visible. Faith carries itself in confidence, even when the world has not yet bowed. Faith speaks as though the word is already fulfilled. Faith chooses boldly, invests wisely, walks fearlessly. Faith is not dreaming of what might be, it is living from what already is, though unseen. So, here again the word of the universe, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now. The facts may protest, but faith rejoices. The facts may deny, but faith affirms. The facts may mock, but faith proclaims. And in the contest between facts and faith, faith always wins, because faith is the creative power behind the facts themselves. The world you see today was shaped by the faith or fear of yesterday. Shape tomorrow with faith today. Therefore, rise above the tyranny of facts. Refuse to be intimidated by numbers, circumstances, or appearances. They are shadows, nothing more. Anchor yourself in faith, and the facts must bow. Stand tall, declare boldly, feel deeply, and persist unshaken. For the law is certain. Faith overcomes facts. Faith reshapes facts. Faith creates facts. And as you cling to faith, as you walk in faith, as you embody faith, the day will come when the very facts that mocked you will testify in your favor. You will look at your account and see $333,000,000. You will remember the days when facts said no and smile, knowing that faith always says yes, and the universe always fulfills the yes of faith. The secret of feeling it real, the most powerful key that unlocks the treasures of the universe, is not mere words, nor empty affirmations, nor hopeful waiting. It is the secret of feeling it real. The universe does not answer what you say without conviction. It responds to the vibration you embody, the feeling you live in, the inner climate you carry. Words are empty unless they are clothed in feeling. The law of life is not, according to what you say, so shall it be, but, according to what you feel, so shall it manifest. Feeling is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is the invisible magnet that draws into form the very thing it embodies. So when the universe declares, I am releasing $333,000,000 into your life now, your task is not to wait, question, or beg, but to step into the feeling of already possessing it. For once you feel it real, the outer world is powerless to withhold it from you. What does it mean to feel it real? It is to let your imagination not remain as a distant vision, but to clothe yourself in it as though it were already your reality. To imagine wealth while still feeling poor is to divide your mind. To declare abundance while still embodying lack is to cancel your prayer. But to imagine wealth while feeling the freedom, security, and joy of that wealth now is to plant the seed in fertile soil. The universe does not check your words, it checks your vibration. It does not mirror your outer mask, it mirrors your inner mood. This is why so many repeat affirmations endlessly and yet see no change, because their feelings remain the same. But the one who aligns feeling with the vision will always see the vision harden into fact. Think for a moment of $333,000,000 truly in your possession. What would you feel as you checked your account and saw those numbers shining back at you? Relief, joy, gratitude, freedom, power, whatever those feelings are, that is the state you must enter now, even before the numbers appear. Feeling is the key because feeling is the language of the subconscious, and the subconscious is the creative womb of the universe. You impress upon it not by words or logic, but by emotion and imagination. When you feel a thing real, the subconscious accepts it as truth, and life begins reshaping itself to match. This is why daydreaming without emotion is powerless. You may imagine wealth as a fantasy, but if you feel lack as reality, lack will continue. The secret is to make the fantasy real in feeling. See yourself holding the checks, signing the documents, blessing others, traveling freely, living fully. But more than seeing it, feel it. Hear the sounds, taste the joy, embody the state until it saturates you. Let the feeling grow so natural that you no longer reach for it, but dwell in it. When the state feels natural, manifestation is near, for nature never struggles to express what is already natural. It simply flows. Many sabotage themselves by clinging to the feeling of the present facts. They look at their empty wallet, their small home, their limited resources, and allow those facts to dictate their feelings. But the law is clear. Facts follow feelings, not the other way around. If you continue to feel poor, no matter what you imagine, you will reproduce poverty. But if you dare to feel wealthy in spite of appearances, appearances must yield. The outer world is clay in the hands of inner feeling. Shape the feeling, and you shape the world. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude is the feeling of already having. To be grateful is to feel that the blessing is already yours. Gratitude aligns you with possession, not lack. When you say, "Thank you for $333,000,000 now," with deep feeling you are telling the universe, "It is already mine." Gratitude is not begging, it is ownership, and ownership attracts its reflection. The more you feel grateful, the more life gives you reasons to be grateful. Gratitude is the vibration of receivership, and receivership is the womb of abundance. The secret of feeling it real is also persistence. You cannot dip in and out of the state, feeling wealthy for a moment, and then sinking back into lack. The subconscious does not respond to fleeting emotions, but to sustained moods. You must cultivate the feeling daily, return to it whenever doubts arise, dwell in it until it becomes your natural climate. The moment it feels natural, manifestation is inevitable. Just as a seed planted in the soil does not sprout overnight, but must be watered consistently, so must your feeling be nurtured until it bears fruit. Do not uproot the seed by checking for results too soon. Trust the process, live in the feeling, and let the harvest come in its season. Feeling it real is not effortful, it is restful. It is not straining to make something happen, it is resting in the knowing that it already has. When you feel it real, you stop begging, you stop worrying, you stop chasing. You walk as though it is done, you speak as though it is settled, you act as though it is finished. The universe responds to that certainty. For certainty is not arrogance, it is alignment. When you align your feeling with the reality of $333,000,000, you are stepping into the state where it already exists, and life has no choice but to deliver. Do not underestimate the subtlety of feeling. Even when your words say abundance, if your feeling says lack, the feeling will dominate. The subconscious cannot be deceived by words, it knows the vibration of the heart. This is why you must pay attention to your mood, your inner climate, your dominant emotion. If you find yourself in lack, shift deliberately into the feeling of wealth. Use imagination, gratitude, visualization, whatever tool helps you step into the state. Feel yourself free, feel yourself secure, feel yourself abundant. Do not wait for the outer to give you permission. The inner is the permission. Ask yourself daily, what would I feel if I already had $333,000,000? Then live in that feeling now. Would you feel expansive? Then expand now. Would you feel generous? Then give now, even in small ways. Would you feel confident? Then carry yourself with confidence now. Would you feel peaceful? Then rest in peace now. By embodying the feeling in advance, you align yourself with the reality you seek. Life mirrors you, and it cannot help but reproduce the state you embody. Remember this truth. You are not manifesting $333,000,000 in the future. You are manifesting the state of already having it now. The money will appear in time, but the feeling must be claimed first. Claim the feeling, and the money follows. Reverse it, and you will wait forever. The law is unbreakable. Life mirrors feeling. The secret is simple yet profound. Feel it real, and it must become real. So tonight, close your eyes and step into the reality of your fortune. See the figures in your account. Feel the weight of the abundance. Let gratitude flood you. Let joy overwhelm you. Let peace settle you. Live from that place until it feels natural. Refuse to let outer facts shake you. Return to the feeling whenever doubts arise. Nurture it, dwell in it, embody it, and in due time, what you first dared to feel will harden into fact. You will look around and realize that the world has shifted to match your inner state, that the invisible $333,000,000 you once felt has become the visible wealth you now hold. For the universe is faithful. It always delivers not what you ask, but what you feel. It listens not to your lips, but to your heart. And when your heart feels it real, the world must obey. The $333,000,000 is already yours. Feel it, live it, be it, and it cannot be withheld from you. The divine release, the universe has already given it, the great secret of abundance, the ultimate revelation that sets the soul free from striving, is this: nothing is being withheld from you. The treasure you seek is not delayed. It is not locked away. It is not waiting for some higher authority to finally permit you access. It is already released. The universe, in its infinite generosity, has already poured forth every blessing, every dollar, every opportunity, every connection, every channel of increase you could ever need. The $333,000,000 you have been envisioning, speaking, and longing for is not sitting in the far-off distance. It is here in the eternal present, available and waiting for you to receive. The idea that you must struggle, beg, or convince some power outside yourself to give you what you desire is a misunderstanding of how life unfolds. The truth is, life is always saying yes to the state you embody. When you enter into the state of already having, the floodgates open, because they were never truly closed. They were only closed in your imagination, and now the moment you shift, the release becomes visible. The wealth is not coming, it is already yours. The act of receiving is not a matter of waiting, but of aligning. The divine release is here now. When you truly grasp this, every sense of lack begins to dissolve like mist before the sun. You see, the mind that believes something is on its way still positions it in time and space as something apart from you. But the spirit that knows it is already here collapses the distance, collapses the delay, and claims it as a fact now. The $333,000,000 is not in the category of someday. It is in the category of already. The release is complete, the work is finished, the supply is abundant, and all that remains is for you to live as though it were so. When you step into that state with boldness, you discover that the universe is not hesitant to bless you. It has always been pouring out blessings, yet you could only drink from the stream that you were conscious of. If you were conscious of lack, you drank lack. If you were conscious of delay, you drank delay. But the moment you become conscious of abundance, you drink abundance. And in that awareness, the $333,000,000 reveals itself, not as a distant dream, but as your immediate inheritance. Think of it like the radio frequencies that are filling the air right now. 100 stations are already playing their songs, their broadcasts, their voices, and yet you only hear the one you tune to. Did the other frequencies suddenly start existing when you tuned in? No, they were already there. They were already released, already present, already surrounding you. Your act of tuning simply made them audible to you. So it is with wealth, with money, with this $333,000,000. The universe declares over your life, it is not coming. It is not being generated. It is not being manufactured for you in some heavenly factory. It is already vibrating in the field of infinite supply. Your act of inner alignment, assuming, feeling, believing, and walking in the state of already having tunes your life to that frequency, and suddenly what was always there becomes audible, visible, and tangible. That is the divine release. The release of this wealth is not random. It is precise. It is calibrated to the intensity of your inner consent. If you live as one waiting, you keep waiting. If you live as one already possessing, you already possess. That is the paradox that confuses so many. The more you chase, the more you affirm its absence. The more you strive, the more you confess it is not here. But when you cease striving, when you rest in the assurance that it is done, that it is given, that it is here, then it flows. And it flows in such a way that it seems miraculous, but it is only natural law being fulfilled. The divine release is not withheld until you prove yourself worthy. It is only unseen until you prove yourself willing to believe. And the moment you believe, the channels open, the contacts align, the opportunities appear, and the $333,000,000 begins to show itself in the language of your world. This wealth is not about numbers on a screen or stacks of paper bills. It is the embodiment of the universe's affirmation of your worthiness. It is life saying back to you, yes, you are abundant, yes, you are supplied, yes, you are limitless. The figure of $333,000,000 is symbolic and literal at once. It is symbolic because it represents complete overflow, and it is literal because money is one of the vehicles through which life manifests that overflow. But the deeper truth is that it is not the number that matters, it is the consciousness behind it. Once you enter into the state where such a figure feels natural to you, then not only this amount, but greater, will flow. For the divine release is not capped, it is not finite, it is as infinite as your imagination, as boundless as your faith, as vast as your willingness to feel it real. Do not think of the $333,000,000 as something you must get. Instead, think of it as something you must recognize. Recognition is the key. When a friend walks into the room, you do not create them. You simply recognize their presence. The moment you recognize, you begin to interact, to share, to receive. So it is with wealth. The money is already in the room of your life. The divine release has already placed it there. Your task is simply to turn, to see, to recognize, to claim, and in that recognition, it begins to interact with you. The checks arrive, the balances shift, the accounts overflow, the investments multiply, the business flourishes, the unexpected channels of blessing open wide. Recognition transforms what seemed like nothing into something, what seemed hidden into visible abundance. Some will say, but I do not see the $333,000,000 yet. And to them the answer is simple. You do not see with your eyes first, you see with your imagination. The eyes are latecomers, the outer senses are the last to know. What is seen in imagination with conviction must eventually be seen in form. To demand that the outer show it before the inner accepts it is to reverse the law. The inner must accept, and then the outer must conform. That is why the divine release is always spoken of as a now reality. Because in the only place that truly matters, the unseen, it already exists, already is, already complete. And since the unseen governs the seen, the release is already secured. The beauty of this revelation is that it frees you from all striving, all begging, all waiting. You no longer need to wonder if the universe is listening, if life has forgotten you, if your dreams are too big, if your requests are unreasonable. None of that exists in the truth of the divine release. The supply is infinite, the giving is constant, and the only thing that matters is your willingness to step into the state of already having. And when you do, life bends, facts rearrange, circumstances bow, and wealth flows like a river that had been waiting behind a dam that no longer exists. The $333,000,000 is released now. It is done. It is here. Walk in it, feel it, claim it, and let the world reflect it back to you in overflowing measure.